Who will be the belle of the brawl?
Your friends, just liars, manipulators, hypocrites.
Keep my name out your mouth.
You gonna do something about it?
Yeah, so I know my opinions on Penelope are unpopular. I stand on my opinions because they're my opinions. I don't mind Penelope as a character. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think she is being properly utilized, but it just seems to me that any character who correctly calls out the sisters on their BS, they are villains. Now, don't get me wrong. Hudson is a villain. He killed my boo. But what he said about Andy and the fact that she leaves destruction and chaos in her wake, heaven help any man that becomes romantically involved with her on any level, because their lives will be, burned to ashes. And Andy just walks off like nothing. Everything is fine. Penelope, in the promo for next week, says something that, and I don't know why this has riled up some people's feathers. Maybe it's it's not about the message, it's about the person delivering it. But she basically tells Andy, all your friends are liars and manipulators and hypocrites. And I'm thinking to myself, if Pinocchio was standing in that restroom, his nose would not grow a single inch. I detected zero lies from Penelope's lips in that moment. Now, I agree that a lot of people, were like, hey, her anger needs to be directed towards Gary. That's the thing, though. I had that theory that Penelope would, shoot Gary in the finale. I don't even know if that's going to happen, because I feel like this is going to be her send-off, and I think this will be an awful way of sending her off, just for her to get her tail whooped. Now, from a, girl power fan perspective, yeah, this is the time that Andy gets her lick back, for that sucker punch, but it was a slap. The sucker slap that she got in her own home, when Penelope and Jordan showed up. Basically, Andy puts her training from Fatima to the test. Now, I will admit, could I see Andy winning this time? Yes. No, I am not counting as Sabrina and Danny. I know it's going to be like an all-out cat fight, but hear me out. Penelope picked the wrong time because Andy is pissed off. She's going through a whole bunch of emotions due to the fact that her health is now in question, and she's worried about her. And we know that her and her mom have a complicated relationship. Then we have the Dr. Vaughn situation. She realized everything she thought she knew about Vaughn was a lie. I have many thoughts about that, but that'll be its own separate video. And then they just had their encounter outside of the club, and she's a bit ruffled when he grabbed her arm. Then, you had the situation where her and Danny kind of had their beef going on, and now she's upset because she just learned that her girl Karen, she thought she had about a week with, is now leaving in less than 24 hours. And she's been drinking as well. So, right now is not the time for Penelope to be running up in Andy's face. Oh yeah, not to mention, here we go with the second season in the row where we have close to the end of the finale where Gary's ex has confronted Andy. Last season, Jasmine abducted Andy, and that was in the finale. And now in the cliffhanger ending, before we get to the penultimate episode, we have Gary's ex-pregnant fiance, formerly pregnant fiance, confronting Andy yet again. But this time it's more personal because, she has ties to her brother and, her relationship with Gary via Andy. And I've never agreed with Penelope blaming Andy for what happened to the baby, because Penelope was the one that confronted Gary after Andy told her dumb butt stay away from him. So these two are going to go at it, but the fight isn't really what concerns me. I feel like it's just going to be one of those things where we're going to have it over and done with within the opening scene of this episode, because we know the girls are going to rally outside of the club. Danny and Andy going to make amends, probably because they, Danny stepped in to help out Andy. And then they're going to go to the gay club and then have a good time and get even drunker. So, yeah, this fight is not going to be what people think. I think Penelope is going to get washed in the bathroom. And then that's going to be it, which is sad. And we know Sabrina's going to jump in too. She has her own vendetta against Penelope, which I don't know why, considering the fact that you broke up with Rich. So why? I don't know. Whatever. So Penelope looked good in all that color, I will say, in the hair. But I'm still scratching my head over. I thought this party was invite only. But then again, it could be late, so anybody could just show up. I don't know. They just use verbiage in this show and then do things that go against what it's been established as. Hey, this is what the situation is for this party or whatever. But yeah, Penelope comes out, overhears what Andy said about, you know, her brother being a liar, which I'm just trying to sit here and think, when exactly did Jordan ever lie to Andy? I can't think of anything. No, I can't think of anything. I'm not saying he didn't lie, but I can't remember a time he did lie. So feel free to let me know in the comments. And that's pretty much, you know, the catalyst for her going in on Andy. And basically, she's going to tell nothing but truth. And like I said, liar, manipulators, and hypocrites. I know sometimes I can rant and go on and vent, but if I spent time going into how each one of those adjectives describes every single member of the sister circle, I would be here for at least 4 hours. And I know you don't want to listen to that unless you listen to my content for ASMR or something. But Andy, what did she say? Well, probably one of the craziest lines of dialogue ever spoken, when she tells Danny, I don't lie. Really? Manipulators? Come on, these women, the way they twist and turn the knife in a man like a wind-up toy to get what they want before tossing him to the side. And hypocrites. They're just a circle of them. You know, it's like that Spider-Man meme where it's like multiple Spider-Man pointing at each other. That's essentially the sister circle. When one person is going through something and it's like, you know, Karen, you messed up. Well, Andy, what are you talking to me for? What about the thing you did? Yeah, Danny, you need to be quiet. Well, Danny, whoa, what are you talking about me for? You're the one. Well, hey. And then Sabrina will speak up. Hey, you're the one who keeps bringing strays home. And it's like, what about you getting involved with a guy that, and then it's just a whole bunch of she said. It's not, they're all hypocrites. Because how can you give me advice when you're weighed down by your own sins and stupidity? So it's just that we're going to see. I get it. The writers have made it where Karen and Fatima are good now. And I know fans are ready for Andy to get her lick back on Penelope. A lot of fans, and somewhat myself, we would still love Fatima to get that lick back on Karen, but it's never going to happen. But I'm just saying, so we can get the Penelope, the Andy get back on Penelope, but we can never get Fatima having even a legit apology from Karen. I see how these writers do. All right, well, that's all I got for you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.